Hi, I'm Joshua Finn from J&H Aerospace, and this is the fourth installment in the 2020 Wright Stuff review series. And so we are doing the Freedom Flight Fun Science 2020 kit. So for those of you unfamiliar, Freedom Flight for the past few years has been producing pretty state-of-the-art airplanes with carbon fiber spars and things of that nature. So very complex airplanes. This is last year's airplane. These were quite competitive up at the Science Olympiad Nationals, and this year's airplane is no exception to that. Kind of follows that same progression. Has some interesting little gadgets to it, and by that you should gather I have worked with this airplane in the hands of other students already. So pretty good performances have been put in by these. I've heard of flight times up into the minute-and-a-half range with skilled students. So very good stuff. So what we'll do is we'll crack this open, and also I guess I should mention, unless y'all are watching closely and know of something I don't, and please comment if you do. This is the last in the build series for the Wright Stuff reviews. So after this video, it'll just be the flying review, where we'll summarize all four of the airplanes that we've reviewed, and we'll go from there. So this airplane, unlike the others that we've reviewed, does tend to come out underweight, so it's able to be ballasted up, so you can get the CG up forward where you need to and whatnot. I have, unlike the issues I had with the Guru plane with the wing being stuck way back, I found that these performed pretty well, even with wing pretty far back. So take that for what it's worth. And I haven't decided if I'm going to build the biplane or the monoplane version. I'm probably going to build the biplane version, actually, and the reason for that is I've worked with the monoplane version, and I know it's fairly easy to trim. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the harder case so that I can get some useful data. So please take into account the monoplane version some people think, myself included, that it actually flies better. So we are going to slightly downgrade the performance, bear that in mind. And, well, I don't know if we are or not. We'll find out. Pretty thorough instruction manual, kind of like what's included in the Guru kit. Lots and lots of details are provided here. Let's see here. One of the things is, if I can find it way back here. Maybe it's, oh, never mind. It's not in the instruction manual. Wrapped around the tube here that has your covering material on it is a set of plans, and what you do is you tape off on those, and that lets you get the ribs placed correctly and whatnot without bonding to it. You're given a bunch of carbon fiber rods, two different sizes for the various parts of the airplane. There are kid you not, three different sizes of rubber that are included. So that's 065. I guess this is 1/16 since there's not a label in it. And what else? We have motor stick material. We have some basswood. I don't know what the basswood's for. It may be for a covering frame. We'll find out. There are blocks here for making various jigs. Two Icara propellers. Bunch of carbon fiber strip, all that jazz. Beautiful laser cut parts. One thing I will mention, because this was something I talked about last year, is if I can show you this, hopefully it'll show up. If you look very closely, there is some waviness in these patterns, and so I saw that on Dave's Wright Stuff kit last year. Mentioned it in the video, and then when I was talking to him a couple months ago, that came up, and he mentioned that Dave mentioned that he actually does not do his own laser cutting. He outsources that to another individual who does the laser cutting for him. So it's whatever's up with that person's laser, and since they're in at least however many seasons they've done this, I reckon there's not something wrong with the laser. It's just probably the speed they're cutting gives it a little bit of waviness. Doesn't affect the usability of the parts at all. So just thought I'd bring that up because I brought it up in the past. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the camera here for a minute and look through the instructions just to re-familiarize myself. I've been in this kit more than once now, so I just need to re-familiarize and then we'll get started with it. So what we're going to do here is these carbon spars that are included are over length, as is mentioned in the instructions, so it's not like I'm saying there's something wrong. I'm saying the instructions say trim them to size using scissors, which I can now confirm is not easy. And I have no idea where that piece went flying, and Hope is going to yell at me in 3, 2, 1. She gave me a dirty look. Anyway, what I'm going to do, I'll go ahead and get the remaining ones trimmed to size here, but the bottom line it does say to trim or to sand the ends nice and round and whatnot, and I can't be bothered because whatever. Bottom line is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you kind of the basic of installing the ribs. You cut these stab spars the same way, so after I start in with this, I'm going to step off camera and then I will come back once the whole thing is done, rather than bore you with all the details like I have on basically all the other kits. Comment is wood quality is amazing as usual. This is very, very nice light 1/16 balsa. So anyway, what I'm going to do, ideally you would tape this down. There's some discussion about if the carbon fiber rods are warped or anything like that. There's also mentioned there's 2 different sets of plans here for the wings, so you can get the spacing for the wing tips, because the top, one wing has to have the winglets for stability, the upper wing, regardless of whether or not you're building it as a monoplane. And so you inset the ribs to get the so. Basically, all I'm doing is trying to get this spacing here. If you remember from the Guru build, I marked the spars and whatnot in advance. I can't do that with carbon. So take that for what it's not worth. Anyway, there are little notches in the ribs that allow them to lock in real nicely to your wing spars. And so the result is quite good. Obviously, the proper way is to, follow the instructions and actually tape these down. But there you go. drop the other ribs in, build the second wing, build the stab, same way. And then, yeah, once I've done that, we'll come back. Okay, so we got the wings built here. Look at that, pretty cool. The stab, same story. And then we went ahead and I built out the wingtips. Actually, those are the rudders, these are the wingtips. So all that's made. We'll set that aside. There's some interesting little gadgets in here as well. So like this is your wing thing, wing mount assembly as it's called. These are, so last year I kind of got onto the fact that the plug-in assembly for this to plug into tubes was very complicated, and I couldn't make it work, and I modified it on camera. This year, this red tubing is included. That's pretty cool. And then you fatten up the wing posts with the carbon wing post with balsa, which is may or may not be something out of my playbook. I thought this red tubing was like stirring rod for coffee stirrers. I don't think it is though, and the reason I don't is it's much too tough. When you cut it, it puts up some resistance, which is pretty cool. Now, so I'm slipping those tubes on there, and then you have this, which is your wing saddle, and it kind of shows you gluing those on, and then this will fit on there. What I recommend you do is put the tubes on the wing mount, and then go ahead and glue it up so that you get good alignment from the get-go. Now, the catch to that is you have to be very, very careful that you do not get glue on the balsa, for lack of a better term, the balsa fatteners. Dang it. Where are you? The other thing is you have to pay attention to what's the front and back on this. This goes on the left side of the wing saddle. Why that's important is there's an offset in the wing center rib that is to get the wing back to being equal length on both sides. Pretty cool little trick. One complaint I have is this wing saddle is pretty short, so there's not a lot of room to get the rubber band front and back. I would have preferred to see that a little wider. Okay, so where we left off is I got some of the basics assembled here. There's a pretty cool thing on so this wing mount is going to have this little piece here. And since you're going to rubber the band this front and back, and you want to be able to get shims in here to shift this this wing post side to side, this is a grip right here, so that you can, I can't show that, yeah, so you can grab this and pull it away from the motor stick to slide shims in there. Pretty cool. Motor stick, you do have to hand taper the back part here. A little bit of a bummer, not bad. You do butt splice the motor stick. That's a little sketchy and whatnot. There are instructions to run carbon fiber on the motor stick. I think it's stiff enough. I mean, that's pretty stiff motor stick. This is the little protractor gizmo for shifting the stab side to side. We'll get into that more. One thing I'll do, I'll show a little of the covering on here, because I know Dave uses a slightly different covering from what I use. So what I'll show you, first of all, Dave supplies these basswood strips for making your covering frame. And then there are gussets, because basswood doesn't take CA as well as balsa, so it tends to fracture fairly easily, so there are gussets supplied with that. I'm not going to use Dave's covering frame for one key reason. I want to preserve this kit as much as I can for future reference, what have you, so I'm going to leave that unmolested. What I will do, I need to take these plans loose here anyway, So we will set the plans aside, and I'm going to use Dave's covering material here. This is, I think it's 1.6 micron. I think that's the number, something like that. I can do this without breaking things. Yeah, hopefully I didn't drop some gussets and whatnot, because I've been throwing stuff around like an idiot. Where's the end of the covering? There it is. So, Dave's instructions, format, everything for this covering are taken basically verbatim from what we're doing. I'm sure somebody out there is going to whine, Dave stole Finn's methods, yada, you know. Seriously, guys, I don't know. I don't care. That is wide enough. I can get away with that. So last year, Dave's kit included an open end covering frame, which ironically is what I'm going to do here, just to preserve film because I can. The bottom line is you crinkle the film. Lay it out here. Maybe I am. We'll see. See if I can get this to stick. If not, oopsies. Looks like it's sticking okay. Helps to have a razor blade that's sharp enough. There we go. Still not sticking to that corner quite like it's supposed to. It's not sticking to any of it like it's supposed to. Oops. This is why you put a new coat of Vaseline down every time. I didn't. Okay, no surprises on the covering. It's thinner than what I use. It's kind of pretty. In the correct lighting, it does get a nice sheen to it. So, good stuff. I was concerned that it might be a little on the fragile side, but it doesn't really seem to be. What I'll do is shoot some 3M77 on the flying surfaces, and then we'll come back and I'll show at least some of the cutting out and go on from there. Alright, so we have everything laid out here, which was a pain in the neck because it's my fault because I needed to get everything close together and wanted to do it all at once, and yeah, all the sob stories on my part. There we go. Wingtips are not going to be perfect, but they'll be okay. And so basically run your finger around, all the usual stuff. Not going to lie, not one of my greatest covering jobs. In large part because I left the ends open. The kit will not leave you with that problem, so bear that in mind. It's not going to hurt my flight times noticeably. It might hurt them a little bit, but not too bad. Just a thing to be aware of. gotten everything locked down here. Perfect. And then to get it loose, the main thing is on the upper wing, you don't really need to worry about the end. Sorry, the lower wing, you don't need to worry about the ends. This one, though, that the wing tip plates go on, you want to be able to get the Mylar free of the end because you're going to bond to that rib. So, get that one cut nice and close. As opposed to this one, just, you know, you push the excess up against that rib because it's probably got plenty of adhesive all over it anyway. Oh, that was graceful of me. I'll continue this off camera. So, ended up having to bail on the razor blade, so I used this cautery to cut the Mylar film. Highly recommended. These are available from indoorfreeflightsupply.com. Mike Curta has on his channel how to change the batteries when they die. Pretty cool little tool. So at this point we've got everything cut out here. We can start assembling the plane. Important thing to watch out for is what goes where, what orientation, all that jazz. So this wing is longer, so this is the right wing because we're trying to center this thing up. There are various jigs that are supplied in the kit. I'm not going to use those because I'm in a hurry as usual, but make sure that you center everything up, you know, get everything glued so it's oriented vertically, all that jazz. One thing I will definitely mention, the carbon spar wings are very, very strong. Exceptionally so. And again, you want to make sure your wingtip is oriented vertically, so if it has any toe out, you'll go over span. If it's got toe in, it's just not as efficient. So you want to get it as close to vertical as possible. And like I said, there are jigs included in this kit. Those little wooden blocks are precision machined so that you can do that. That one's trying to toe in a little on me. There we go. Straight up and down. And then for the stab, there's no left and right. So the rudder is even more important than the wing because these are very tall, so it's very easy to get your stab out of span limit because these are the tail's really small, so you got to build everything right up to the limit to get as much as you possibly can, and so it makes things a little sensitive there. So it pays to get a ruler out there and actually measure it. Dave has these warnings about this listed all over the instructions, all over his website, etc. So if you don't heed those warnings, it is not his fault. Okay. So at this point, we can then start looking at like assembling the wing and whatnot. So remember, this goes on the left side, long wing on the right side. So all you do is slip it in here. Now, there are jigs that you can use, again, to get all of this oriented correctly. I'm not using those, but the instructions show very clearly how to jig all of this up. thing is. You know, everything perpendicular, don't want any warps in the wings, all of that jazz. Dave does talk about using wing warps to trim the airplane. I personally recommend avoiding those if at all possible. My one and only complaint with the design of this airplane as far as from an aerodynamic perspective is those wings are really close together, and that's inefficient. And so I complain about this with the Guru plane. I'm going to complain about it here. Your wings are too close together. So there we go. In theory, that's enough glue to hold things steady. You should do some diagonal bracing. We'll probably look at doing that later. I don't know if I'll show it on the video, but the thinner carbon rod that supplied the 020 is perfect for that, and there is enough supplied that you can do some bracing of that sort. Let's pull out our fuselage here. There is a screw somewhere in here. Now, one of the things that is crazy sauce about Dave's airplanes is that he is OCD about including literally everything, including the push pin required to drive your pilot hole for your stab mount. So take the kit supplied push pin. I'm not kidding. Drive it all the way through. Stick it back in the kit so you don't lose it. Whereas you should have used it to pop the little hole out of this stab mount. So at this point you can glue that right on there. Not glue. Yeah, right. That would kind of destroy the point now, wouldn't it? And there's different orders you could do this in. The bottom line is you take your screw here, and you just gently drive it down. You don't want to over tighten, and there we go. Now at this point, there should be a pair of straight pins supplied. There are. One short and one long. I'm going to use the short one. Use that to pin things back there. And now we want to glue the stab on dead centered. Ironically, actually not super critical in this case because you can reset the alignment anyway. Main thing is just get your stab on with no twist or anything like that. Lined up decently. And by the way, this is not the correct order. The correct order is mount your wing, jig the fuselage so you can get everything lined up. There is a straw supplied and little mounts to align the wings as you do this. So I'm doing this completely out of order. Bear that in mind. Got two rubber bands out here. Something to pry that up with. go. Wing sits on there pretty nicely. It's about where you want the wing to be. There should be, now that I think about it, there should be more straight pins. So there's another short pin. Alright, so the long pin is for making your rear hook. Okay, so we're going to make our rear hook here. You have to be fairly precise with this, not too severely, but and then what you do is glue it on. Ideally, you would use some binding thread to bind that in place. Probably not completely necessary on these because the tension is so low on these rubber motors. Okay, so could not find my spider wire, so I resorted to Kevlar. Ain't no kill like overkill. Alright, and with that, you can glue the nose on, it's up to you. So, there we are. Currently the CG is a little too far aft. We're going to end up having to add nose weight anyway. I'm going to look through the instructions, look at bracing and whatnot. Basically the airframe's done, but I want to look at some wing bracing to make sure that it's able to stay put. Okay, so Dave shows a bracing arrangement that's interesting because it's different for front and back. I'm not entirely sure why, but I'm going to do it because it's what the instructions say to do, and I don't really have a dog in this fight because it works. Let go of it. My hand, that is. Let go of my hand. Should have used the CA accelerator. I don't know where I put it either. Dang it. And now I just sliced up the covering because I'm doing a colossal screw up. Alright, so similar arrangement up front. Go on there. normally I don't have a problem with this, but today I have a problem with this. Yes, I spilled CA accelerator on my table. But, there we go. Wing is secure. Alright, propeller. Because we're mostly done, we're done building, other than we need to cut the propeller to size. And the way this works is, back here, there are propeller cutting circles. Now, I did not include these or anything like them in my kit, and I've had students request them. I probably should start doing them at some point, like soon, because I've had students come to me saying, hey, can you just include a printed paper circle? That's something I need to do. And I at first thought that there was no need for the circles, which is why I didn't include them. But I've built from several kits now where those were present, and I found them to be kind of useful. Okay, one kit. The Guru Tech kit. Because the Retro RC had laser cut templates, and laser cut has crazy sauce prop. Alright, so let's see how this works, because come on, go in there. Supposed to fit the propeller shaft through, I think, is the kind of the intended way. There we go. Maybe these aren't as good of an idea as I thought. I don't know. But they're putting up a fight. There we go. That's the part I hate. Stay put. There we go. And again, I hope this is, I think this is fairly accurate, who knows. But, bottom line is, there's our trim to size propeller. And it's on. The plane's done. Now all we have to do is weigh it. Because this one will be underweight by some amount. I'm going to step out on a limb. I'm going to say it is 6.5 grams. Just taking a guess. See right there, that says 6.444. couldn't get that close again if my life depended on it. So we need basically 1.5 grams of nose weight. Put it down here. It's 8.155, so just a smidge too much. 7.9. 8.000, no, 8.04, something like that. So what we will now do, per the instructions, and there I go breaking things, great. But anyway, put your clay up front. It does not wish to stick, so glue your clay up front. Reattach the wing. And this is how you prevent glue from getting up in there. Smear CA accelerator. Alright, so now airplane is tremendously nose heavy, so we'll make it less nose heavy, maybe. There is a toothpick included in the kit specifically for moving these rubber bands around. Alright, with rubber motor that should come pretty close to balancing. There we go. Freedom Flight plane that needs a black panel on it. Okay, so we've got her wound up. I offset for a little bit of left turn. We'll see how that works. Some of these planes need a lot of left rudder, some don't. We'll find out. A little on the nose heavy, or tail heavy side. Alright, so I slid the wing back a little bit. Icky landing. Alright, one more go at the left turn. Tightened it up a little bit. Hopefully that's not too much. It is. Oops. Alright, so the instructions say that you can shim the wing out a little bit here. So in theory that'll flatten out our left turn. We'll see. I did reduce the rudder offset too. Oh yeah. Well, that made a difference. That flies good. Alright, so I moved the shim up front and then added in a whole bunch of Wright trim. I don't know how well that shows up. See how it goes flying to the right. Gonna be needing more Wright. That is a lot of right rudder. Dave says they need a lot to go to the right. So. Getting there. I took the shim off and just moved it on the outside. So let's see how it goes now. Oh yeah, there we go. A little stally. Okay, so Freedom Flight Fun Science 2020. Trims out fairly easily. Mine's a little reticent to go to the right quite yet. Probably a few more tweaks here and there. Builds underweight like it's supposed to, which is what you want. Little fiddly in a few places. The little bitty carbon bits are a bit challenging to deal with here and there. The quality of the kit is the best there is. Not going to argue that. It's got everything. The instructions are detailed like crazy, maybe a little overwhelmingly in some places. But it includes everything. It's an extremely complete kit. The design is solid and competitive. Like I said, it's a little more involved of a build. So if you're looking at, like, frankly, well, the breakdown right now, this and the Senior Flyer seem to be fairly close in performance. The laser cut planes kit also is pretty close there. That one's super easy to build and trim. Doesn't give you a lot of options. I mean, it's as you go. Senior Flyer, a few more options, you monoplane or biplane. Some research I've done where we put all the weight up at the front has shown that it becomes really a sweetheart to trim, believe it or not. So possibly even easier than this plane. Things I have noticed, though, since I've worked with these a little bit, these are challenging for most people to trim. I didn't have much trouble there. You saw, you know, yeah, okay, so it was stalling, not turning tight enough, yada, 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 but it wasn't spiraling in. And the problem is, in the field, I've seen these have a tendency to spiral in. I did try to take this thing outside and fly it, and that was a mistake. It's kind of breezy out there, and yeah, that didn't work out so well. It did look like it actually wanted to fly out there, which was surprising for one of these, but yeah, quite nice in that regard. So at the end of the day, very good airplane. I highly recommend it. If you're not afraid to get into, you know, a little more detailed build, this would probably be the thing for you. Very durable airplane with the carbon spars, and it builds light. But like I said, it's a little more complex of a build. It's not self-jigging, so you have to kind of weigh those options. But you're obviously not going to be at a competitive disadvantage flying this airplane. It's rock solid, and it'll hold its own against pretty much anything out there. So, Freedom Flight, what is it, Fun Science 2020? Thumbs up. I like it.
Hi, I'm Josh Finn. This is Hope. We are J&H Aerospace.
If you like this video, hit the like button.
Also, how about subscribe to our channel and check out jhaerospace.com for new free flight products and all of the tooling that you'll need to build them.
Thanks for watching.